It's my pleasure to welcome Chuck Riffenberg with the Rogue Herbalist. I love that name, Rogue Herbalist, Apothecary and Academy. Which is first, Academy and Apothecary?
It's Academy and Apothecary, but either one works.
And the reason it's Academy is Chuck does workshops and he's going to be doing a certification for herbalism and all kinds of things that I'm not going to talk about because he knows that. Good to see you.
Hey, yeah. Thank you, Judy, for having me.
Yeah.
Welcome
So-
to everybody that's on the call as well. This is pretty exciting, doing the Zoom call. This is only the second Zoom call that I've done, so hopefully you'll bear with me and we'll make it through all right. So shall I just, you want to?
Yes, I just want to make sure that I've got you pinned, and so just bear with me one more minute. And of course, now I can't find out how to do that.
That's funny. I was just going to ask you, how do you do that? Because I was on another Zoom call where they said, just pin so-and-so. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
it's, you know, it depends on where you are. If the small, this is great. So you really, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name that just spoke, but you really did me a favor because I can only pin small boxes. And so when you talked, you came up big on the screen. I can't pin Chuck when he's big. So now he's pinned. So that means that he should remain big on the screen and everybody else small. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Chuck and you take it away.
Hey, well, okay, so thanks for having me. Just in playing with the technology, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do a share screen where you can see a slideshow, and I'll just do kind of pictures of the apothecary here, and then we'll have a little video of, we made elderberry syrup the other day, so you'll hopefully be able to watch that video without any problem either. Yeah, so as Judy said, I'm Chuck Riffenberg, your local community herbalist, one of many. A lot of you know me. I was at the Sunflower for about 4 years. Prior to that, I worked for a big vitamin supplement company doing sales in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, driving all over New England. Prior to that, I was in St. Augustine, Florida, managed a couple different herb shops down there, went to college, lived life down there. I've been doing it for a while, maybe 15 years. I've been practicing herbalism, and you know, you never become a master of anything. You just kind of continually add to your knowledge base and expand as time goes on. But I'm really fortunate that I'm kind of at the point where I've got my own space, and we make our own product line, and we've got it into a good number of stores. It's still basically just a one-man operation, but I have some help from a couple of friends of mine, which is nice. We started in this little commercial kitchen over here that's through this wall. Was there for more than a year, and then this space was sitting empty. This used to be a used bookstore, and prior to that, it was the El Toro, the Mexican restaurant that's in town here. So had empty for a while, and I talked to the landlord. I said, I'd like to get in there. I want to, make that into my herb school and apothecary space. So that's what I did. And of course, right as we were doing that in April is when all the COVID stuff happened. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it gave me a chunk of time to work on getting this space the way that I like it and just really focusing exclusively on that. So what I'm going to try to do, let's take a look and see if I can share the screen with you. I'm going to do this sound and optimize. And we'll see. How's that, Judy? Can you guys see that?
Yep, that's great.
You see it? Okay.
Yep, we're good.
So this is just the title page. As you can see, growing the herbal revolution is kind of my one of my many taglines. Had the logo done by a friend of mine at Websticker and Stowe. Those guys are great. We try to do as much collaboration with local business as we can. You'll see more of that as we go on through the slides. So pretend, if you will, that you're here in Morrisville with me, historic Morrisville, Vermont. We're right next to the co-op. So if you've been to the co-op, you've basically been to where I'm at. There's this big free parking area. And you would basically be looking at the front of the building. There's me standing there with my sign, and the sign below is actually the lady upstairs, but it kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm doing. So I kind of like it. It's all about healing at this location. So we took these pictures in the spring. That's kind of exciting. Get some photos. So pretend that you're following me inside that door on the left there. We'll go inside. And then this is what greets you as you come into the building. So this map it actually is kind of a symbol of exactly what I'm trying to do here. This map is from 1932. It's the medicinal plant map of the United States. So a lot of people are unfamiliar with the history of medicine in this country. If you go back a century or more, you'll find that all the medicines in the pharmacies would be herbal medicines or plant-based medicines. It's only been in the last 100 years that we've kind of moved away from that, and people have forgotten all about their herbal traditions. So I took a couple of pictures of this map just so I could chat more about it. There's one without me in it. You can see basically what this is. Not all of the plants are like what's indigenously grown there, but a lot of them are. And then some of them are also what's just been cultivated there. So keep in mind, this is from the 30s as well. If we zoom in, you can see the date there. It's like I said, 1932. It's the National Wholesale Druggists Association, which I really love because, you know, they're really just herbalists. They're not so much pharmacists as they are herbalists. You can see down below, the whole thing is lined with different plants, the Latin names and where they come from, and the drugs that they produce. Fun fact for you is the word drug itself, it actually just comes from the meaning is dried plant material. So herbs, you know, herbs are drug in that sense.
Never stopped learning it.
If we move forward here, I have to click. Yeah, so this is really the key part of this whole thing, the service of pharmacy, and you can read it on your own. But basically what it talks about is that they kind of predicted what was going to happen, is that the public would lose the understanding that the majority of medicines are derived from plants. You can see on this chart, it says upward of 70% at the time. The reason I have Hoxsey on the left there is because I want to recommend a book to everybody. You can see the subtitle there. The book is actually called When Healing Becomes a Crime. And you can also find documentary versions of it, but I would more recommend the book because it's super well researched and cited. And it basically brings you in and explains the history of what happened at the time. This fellow Hoxsey, they went after him for selling herbal treatment for cancer. So I highly recommend the book When Healing Becomes a Crime. And you can see in that book, they really explain how the transition went as Rockefeller and Carnegie, this big money, came in and basically monopolized and took over the practice of medicine in this country. And really, the reason I show you the map as well is like, I want to bring back this understanding that plants are medicine and really vital to our lives. And if you think about the whole theme with Rooted in Vermont, as well as local food, like your food is your medicine, as the whole Hippocrates saying goes. So this understanding is critical. Let's see, I will click here. I wanted to just show too, the Vermont, the New England area, as well as I thought it was cool. It says Pharmacy Week in October, and we're in October. So that was kind of fun that happened like that. But you can see in Vermont, we've got wintergreen, which you guys may be familiar with, grows in our woods, very, low-laying shrub. Same as wintergreen that you'd find in gum. You know, it's lovely topical for pain. It's got salicylic acid, like a lot of people think of willow bark as the natural aspirin, kind of a similar anti-inflammatory in that sense, as well as the flavoring aspect. But you can see a lot of different things here. There's different seaweeds on the coast and, pine up here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. I'm moving it, but you may not see it. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you what's in our area, because people are always, that's the first thing they look at when they look at the map. So, and then here's cannabis on the chart. Cannabis is actually on the chart twice, and I just thought it was worth showing because, it's been here all along. People people tend to think that this is a new thing, or it's finally, it's finally becoming recognized. Like, it's been recognized all along. It's just that there was this big chunk of time where it was driven underground, largely like the whole practice of herbalism. So I wanted to show you the cannabis picture there. It's kind of cool that they just legalized THC as well. So we'll see how that unfolds, hopefully for the best. Moving on. And just to show you this as well. So here on the left is the old-timey cannabis extracts, and you can see my product on the right. So we're basically just selling a true tincture of cannabis, which is available, back in the day, right over the counter. And I won't go too far into detail as to the difference between the true tincture, the alcohol tincture, versus an oil extract and the different types of extracts. But I am a proponent of the true alcohol tincture. It's got its own unique qualities. But yeah, I just wanted you to see that this is, these medicines go back a ways, more than 100 years ago for sure. But in this country, it's key to look like 100 years ago and see what happened. So that's the cannabis. We do all kinds of CBD stuff in here, as you may know. And I'm trying to build kind of a whole understanding amongst folks, that it's not just cannabis, but there's hundreds of plants that are good for you. So they come in and have the opportunity to see the different formulas that we make. Let's go. Oops, am I going to go too far? Go back one. Oh, I'm going too far. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So this is also, this is a painting that hangs in my shop. And I got it when I worked at the oldest drugstore in St. Augustine. If you're interested in art or the history of medicine, check out this guy's series, Robert Tom. You can see he basically does the history of medicine, but he starts almost back in the prehistoric caveman times and has a painting down through the ages. I got this one for myself as a gift from the woman that I worked with. And then I had got another one that I gifted to a gentleman who trained me down there. That's more about Chinese medicines. It was a picture of an old Chinese gentleman sitting on the floor with his apprentice, and they're going over herbs. Pretty cool stuff. Moving forward here. So you come in to the shop. After you leave the hallway where the painting is, you come in and this is what you see. You see the library. We have a nice little sitting area here. Like I said, this place used to be a used bookstore. So we kept all the books that we thought were relative to natural healing and anything that we found interesting. So there's books in here on psychology and philosophy and religion and politics and lots of cool subjects. And all the rest of the books they just took out, and we put the herbs on the shelves instead. So this area right now, it just serves kind of as my office. But ideally what I want to have is a bunch of long tables sitting in the middle here. And then we're going to be putting in at some point a projector screen so we can do like a slideshow like this and do a whole lecture. So on any given topic, we can have a class. And, we could probably fit, 12 or 15 people in here comfortably. So that'll be exciting when that happens, hopefully in the new year. So that's just one section of the library. We move forward here. Here's me sitting posing with a book, but talking about the clinical work that I do. You can come in, and if you want to have like a legitimate sit down with me, we can talk. Let me just admit someone. There you go. Yeah, we can, I'll have you fill out a proper intake form and we can have like a thorough conversation. And that's like a legitimate, you sit down for 1 to 2 hours and we actually go over stuff. I found not a lot of people want to go through that whole process, but the ones that do, I think find it an enjoyable and helpful process. When you're doing herbalism, you want to have as much information as possible about the person in front of you, because everybody's constitution is different, everybody's circumstances is different. So this is one of the services that we offer here, and we're going to be, we'll be training people to do this type of work as well, which is exciting. Ideally, I would like to see a space like this in every community in, all over the world, but, especially in Vermont and in our country at large. I think there should be herbal apothecary, herb school in every town. This should be, prevalent, as popular as a CVS would be now. Yeah, so you get a nice shot of the shelf there and the herbs in the background. Let's click forward here. So here's the two different collections that I have. So on the left is the artisan collection. So this is everything that I make in-house. It's all my CBD stuff, and there's non-CBD formulas as well. Lots of cool things going on here. I've got a bunch of different wildcrafted extracts, specialty things that you can't really find everywhere. And I'm definitely open to doing custom formulation. I was going to say that on the clinic slide, but if people are looking you don't have to do an intake for this, but if somebody's looking for a customized formula, I'm more than happy to put that together for you. Or you can just come in and kind of create your own tea blend, which is fun. And I'll weigh the different things out for you and talk to you about it. So on the left is the artisan collection. The right is the apothecary collection. So everything on the right is not made here, but it is made for me by a private labeler. It's Vitality Works is the name. They're really high quality company. So this is kind of for all the things that I wouldn't necessarily have access to, because most of the stuff in the artisan collection is local sourced. So local cannabis, local herbs from Foster Farm, and so forth. Some of these herbs are grown on the other side of the world, so we can't exactly get them locally. But that's what we have this collection for as well. So I have a little more availability of product and specialty things that I might want to recommend to somebody. So clicking forward. Oh, I just want to mention too, on the right, there's two different mushrooms, both Ganoderma. You can see up top there. On the right is Ganoderma tsugae, what you might call hemlock reishi. I found that in the Waterbury Reservoir is the biggest one I ever found. And then the one on the left is Ganoderma applanatum, or an artist conch, and that was given to me as a gift. Just wanted to make mention of that. So here's me in the kitchen. I'm posing with, this is the 4-mushroom immune complex. It's one of my award-winning formulas. I've got 2 award winners. We do a dual extraction of the 4 mushrooms in that mix. So basically that means we do a decoction, which is basically like a simmer. You boil it on low heat. I use basically what's a big crock pot in a sense, and cook it for 24 plus hours on low heat. Basically what this process does, it breaks down the tough cell wall of the mushroom and releases all the constituents that you're looking for into the water. And then we add organic cane alcohol. So you get the best of both worlds. You get water-soluble constituents and alcohol-soluble constituents. Let's see if I put it in the right order. I didn't really, but I'll just keep going then. So I wanted to mention, we try to do business with as many local farms and people as possible. You'll see on some of the formulas we have Foster Farm Botanicals logo. These guys are in East Calais. That's me in a field of Angelica at the Foster Farm. It was taken maybe a month ago on a glorious day. It was a really awesome day. And then Creek Valley Cannabidiol is my friend Kyle in Irisburg. He's a hemp farmer, and he's also got pigs and sheep, and he's a legit farmer. A really great operation up there. So check his business out. I mentioned Web Sticker. These guys do my logo and labels. Wonderful people in Stowe. Northwoods Apiaries, as an example, is where the honey comes from. That's in this elderberry syrup that you're about to see. And then the water that we use in all of our formulas, this is kind of cool. My friend Tom, his cousin has a maple sugaring business in Duxbury. So we get reverse osmosis maple tree water from Scribner Maple in Duxbury. And then I can't even list all the stores, obviously the Sunflower and Herbal Path in Dover, Portsmouth, and quite a few others are helping to make this all possible. I try to tell folks, when they buy our products, they're not just supporting me or just herbalism in general, but like the whole kind of quest of herbal education and kind of raising the awareness of what we're trying to do here, that I think kind of dovetails with the whole Rooted in Vermont philosophy as well. So these are just nice pictures from Foster Farm. I just wanted to show all the lovely plants they have there. You can see calendula, and there's tulsi and chamomile, sage, lots of goodies, echinacea. You can see them all, St. John's wort. They do tours up there too. So if you guys want to do a tour, I know it's the end of the season, but it's definitely worth it. Go out, take a look at the farm, buy some herbs from them as well. Highly recommend it. Doing plant walks is a really fun thing. This is from a few years ago, right, Judy? This might have been 2017. This is that first mushroom walk that we did in the Cotton Brook Trail back there on the reservoir. And we had an awesome crowd, and we actually found some different chanterelle mushrooms and some fun things that you can actually eat. And we talked about a bunch of different plants on the way too. It was a great time. This is a key thing because you can learn herbal anything from a computer or from a book. Like, you can learn knowledge from a book, but you don't really learn something until you have the actual experience, until you get your hands on the material, until you harvest a plant yourself and you understand, you look at it, you understand what it looks like, where it grows, what it smells like. These are like the really little intimate details of learning this craft. So going outside and actually going to where the plants grow is critical. And one of the things I love about our new location here is literally, within a stone's throw is the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail, which they just, I guess they're going to put more money into that to expand it. So that's cool. So we can take people on plant walks right from the shop here. So we've kind of got the best of all the worlds. We have in classroom kind of academic setting where you can, sit down and listen to a lecture from somebody, as well as hands-on learning in the kitchen. Like, you'll be able to learn how to make your own products, and also doing plant walks right on the rail trail or other surrounding areas too. Take a field trip or something. Let's move forward. Here's Double Me. This slide was supposed to be earlier when I was talking about the awards, but on the left, you can see my 2 awards there for the 4 mushroom immune complex and the sweet fern syrup. Got those in 2015 and 2017 from the International Herb Symposium in Massachusetts. I don't know, they do it every 2 years. Hopefully they will do it next year in 2021, because I'd like to actually teach a class there. So we will see about that. And then on the right is just a nice picture of me with the herb jars. You can see the bulk in the background. Yeah, it's a really fun experience to come in here, and you can create your own tea blend, or just try single herbs, see what they're like. Let's see what's next. We already saw, this is a better shot of the artisan collection, all my different formulas. I'll just move forward here because I think people want to see the elderberry syrup. So this is the recipe, which I think you'll be able to download it or screenshot it. Maybe I'll leave it up for a second here. And there's a million ways to make elderberry syrup or any other herbal formula that you like. Like, there is an art and science to it. And people make tinctures at home. They make it the folk method. They basically just, pour vodka over herbs, which is a fine thing to do if you're just making it for yourself. But when we're making it in here, we actually, we measure everything, and we want to get it as reproducible as possible so we could create the same thing over and again. So this formula it's delicious. I actually came up with the whole thing in my head before I made it, and kind of just figured it would be good, but it turned out awesome. I was really pleased. So we used that maple water that I was mentioning before, which has a tiny trace amount of colloidal silver in it as well. We got fresh berries from Foster Farm, as well as dried berries from Europe. Everything in here is organic or wildcrafted too, I should mention. The elderflower I wildcrafted, the reishi I wildcrafted. Echinacea comes from Foster Farm. Astragalus is just organic, but still quality, as are the spices, just organically sourced. And you can use a whole cinnamon stick or fresh ginger. I say this in the video actually, so I can move to the next one. You should be able to watch it. Or here's the elderberries as well. I talk about this as well. So we have the local ones are Canadensis and the European are Nigra, but you know, either one works fine. The local cultivated ones are kind of fatter berries, whereas like the wild ones are smaller, which you tend to find that with everything really. Like cultivated berries tend to be larger just by nature of being cultivated and tended to. Yeah, one more, and I think it's the video. So let's have you watch this video, and there's 3 of these little videos, so I'll just go from one to the next. Nope, that's wrong. 1 second. Is it going to work? Yeah. Okay, so we're in the kitchen. We're about to start on our elderberry syrup here. First thing I'm going to do is just put some of this water into the pot. So we got a liter of water here. This is actually, this is the reverse osmosis maple tree water that my friend gets from Duxbury. So it's literally the water from the maple trees. We'll turn that on high heat and just get it warmed up. So I'm going to go through real quick and just show you all the ingredients here. You don't have to get as elaborate as what we're doing, but I like to make fun and complicated medicines. So we got 2 types of elderberries here. This is fresh elderberry from Foster Farm Botanicals in East Calais, Vermont. These are fresh frozen, so they came right off the bushes and went into my freezer so we could use them at a later date. So this is actually, the fresh frozen is Sambucus nigra, the European elderberry. These guys are also, I believe, the same kind, but they're dried berries. So this is a little more concentrated elderberry, dried berries. This is the local wildcrafted elderflower. So this is Sambucus canadensis, the North American elder. And I like having the flower in here as well as the berries because it just kind of makes it a more full spectrum thing that we're creating. So we got some tonics as well. This is wildcrafted reishi. This is Ganoderma tsugae from the hemlocks in Vermont here. This is astragalus, not grown in Vermont, but really a potent immunomodulating herb. Astragalus is wonderful immune tonic for this time of year. Got echinacea root. This one's also grown from Foster Farm Botanicals in East Calais, Vermont. Got to have echinacea in there, definitely. And then we have some spices as well. Little bit of clove, cinnamon, and ginger. And you can use cinnamon sticks and you can use fresh ginger root. It's really up to you. You can always play with proportions and different herbs in this mix, but yeah, I'm going to throw into the pot and we'll get a nice little decoction going. So here's the fresh berries going in. And you'll see on the sheet there's the proportions and the weights and everything, so you can figure out from there. Here goes the dry. Oh yeah, you can see the water's already turning that nice purple. The purple is anthocyanins. It's a type of antioxidant. So all your purple fruits and berries and veg are very good for you. So here's the elderflower. Right down the road from here, we actually walked and wildcrafted those earlier in the spring. That was a good time. So here goes the reishi chunks. I love this astragalus too, right with the reishi. Oh yeah. That astragalus has a nice sweetness to it that's going to complement all these other herbs in here. Echinacea root, right in the mix. Just going to turn the heat down slightly and give a stir. Oh yeah. You can hear it's heating up nice. now toss our spices in too. Clove, a little bit of cinnamon, and the ginger. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this simmer for about 30 to 40 minutes, stirring occasionally. You'll see in the next video, we'll then be pressing all the herbs to get all the good juice out, and then we'll combine with honey, apple cider vinegar, and a little more elderberry juice concentrate, just because I want to make it super strong elderberry. So check back soon. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so it's been about 45 minutes. We had it on there, and it's cooled a bit now. You can see how nice and cooked and saturated that is, all the good juice on the bottom there. So if you're just doing this at home, you don't have a press, you can use something like this potato masher to really, press everything, get all the juice out. And then use a cheesecloth or some sort of filter, as best you can. But we're going to use the tincture press here. We're going to put the mark in here, and then it's going to go into the hydraulic press here. And we'll cut to that, and you'll see what that looks like in just a moment. Okay, so we've got the tincture press all loaded up now. All the mark is in the chamber there. And you can see how this thing works. It's just a pretty standard hydraulic jack press. All the goodness being squished in there. And it comes down into the gallon glass jar that we've got below. Look how dark that is. This is going to be awesome. Keep going here. So this is the process too by which we press all of our tinctures and the various extracts that we make, just because we really get all of the liquid. And they do make bigger ones of these, but this one suits our needs quite well. So when we're done with the pressing here, we're going to measure out some honey and vinegar and a little more of that elderberry juice concentrate, and it will all be cooked back together, which is what you'll see in the next little clip here. Okay, and one more clip, I believe. Let's take a look. Okay, so we had about 750 milliliters of the elderberry extract that we created. So we're going to use an equal amount of Vermont local honey. This is about 750 milliliters of honey from the Northwoods Apiary. I'm just going to do my best to scoop it all in here. Let's see what this looks like. Try to spread it around as possible. Do your best to get all of the honey that you can. That's pretty good. So I will start the heat on low. We're going to do it very low though, because we don't want to boil it. We just want everything to cook together nicely. So I'll start that. We decided we were going to do a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. This is Vermont apple cider vinegar. And I've got this organic elderberry juice concentrate to really kick it up a notch. Bam. So let's start with a little shot of the vinegar here. I'm going to do a 1/4 cup. The nice thing about the apple cider vinegar is that it's also a preserving agent, so it'll make it a little more shelf stable. Although we're going to keep it in the refrigerator just because. Oh, 1/4 cup there. And toss this in. Give it a nice little zing too. So, and then this elderberry juice concentrate we're also going to be using to make gummies at some point in time. We haven't done that yet, but that's in the works. So we're going to do a half a cup of this concentrate. There we go. This stuff is really special. So I like, you'll notice some of the syrups on the market are made just with the elderberry juice concentrate. We really are getting the best of all the worlds here. This is fresh elderberries, locally sourced, dried elderberries, the dried elderflower, locally sourced, and the elderberry juice concentrate, with, of course, all the other ingredients you saw before. So, there's the half cup of that concentrate. Yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. We're going to simmer this for a little bit, and then it'll be ready to be bottled. You'll see the finished product in a moment. Cool. Okay, so yeah, and that's the finished product there. You can see I basically just made a cheapy label because this is a small batch. But yeah, I think it suits it well. It looks kind of old-timey, and it's got all the ingredients on there. So if you want to check it out, check out my website. I did a coupon code. If you want to buy anything, you're welcome to do that. Hopefully the coupon will work. If it doesn't work, reach out to me, let me know, because it's the first time I'm doing one of those as well. Yeah, I think do I have one more slide? I think it just shows you, yeah, the syrup. The syrup was really awesome. And yeah, I highly recommend try making it yourself if you haven't, and or just kind of get into making whatever you want to make for herbs. Obviously, you wouldn't be on this call if you weren't interested in herbalism. So, get out there and create something that resonates with you. So let me see. I will stop sharing, and I'm back. So how'd that go? It looks like you're muted, Judy. I don't know if we want to do.
There I am. Chuck, that was amazing. And I just want to give a shout out to Chuck. I've known him for a lot of years now. And he did a formula for me, some kind of tea. And I just discovered that recently, because, you drink stuff for a while and then you try something else. And I went, oh my God. So I don't even remember what issue it was for, but you concocted something. And so if you have any, and I'm not, this isn't an advertisement for Chuck, I just know him as a friend, but, if you do have any issues, I highly recommend, like he said, you don't have to do the full consult, but he's really knowledgeable about the local herbs and such. And again, really, really good stuff. So I'm really looking forward to seeing your shop, Chuck. And I just want to open it up to questions. And folks, if you don't want to write in the chat box, you can be like me, just I can unmute you, or I think you can unmute yourself and just ask questions. So we can open it up now. Thanks.
Thanks for the kind words, Judy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Chuck, I was wondering, how long does the elderberry syrup last in your refrigerator?
That's a great question, and it's probably going to depend on how much of the various preserving type of stuff you put in there. It's half honey pretty much, so that'll help preserve it, and the vinegar too. In the fridge, it's going to last months and months. It's good for a long time. One thing I thought about doing, you can always, I could have done a tincture ahead of time of those same herbs, like elderberry and echinacea, and make an alcohol tincture out of that. And then you press that ahead of time. And then that tincture you could add to the syrup, and just bring it up to maybe 15, 20% alcohol total. And not only then are you getting a little extra dose of herbs, but you've got that. And then you could really keep it right on the shelf. I was wondering whether or not I should even put it on my website or just kind of sell it out of here, because I am keeping it in the fridge, but I'm pretty sure it would be fine to ship for a couple of days. You can leave it out, and if you left it out overnight on the counter, it would be fine. Yeah, but I'm going to say at least a few months in the fridge for sure, probably much longer.
Chuck, how high in alcohol does something have to be to basically become shelf stable?
How much alcohol you're saying?
Yeah, what kind of percentage of alcohol is necessary to keep something stable on the shelf without having to refrigerate it?
I think 20% at least. You don't go much below that. So like if like everything I use here is it's 95% organic cane alcohol. So you can basically, figure that number based on 100. So if you're using 20 milliliters out of 100 milliliter total is going to be roughly 20%. But you just figure it out what you're aiming for and go from there. Because also too, different herbs require a different potency of alcohol for optimal extraction. That's why we do the pure organic cane alcohol with the pure hemp there, because it really extracts those oils and resins out of the hemp, as best as possible. Whereas water would not really be ideal for cannabis. And it's vice versa. Like a lot of the medicinal mushrooms, the sugars in those mushrooms are more water soluble. So that's why we cook them in water first. And the extract ends up being predominantly water-based, but there still is alcohol in it to make it shelf stable. I'll answer this chat too. It says, can you describe a consultation? Yeah, basically it's, I would give you the forms. It's basically an intake form. Basically, you read all the disclaimers and stuff. It talks about what herbalism is. It's not a doctor. It's not this, that, or the other, but basically, what I do is talk to you, to recognize what your individual constitution is, what's going on with you as a person. You put down, your health information and what has gone on to you in the past. If you're on any pharmaceutical drugs is key information, because, you have to research them ahead of time and make sure that there's not going to be any contraindications with any recommendations you give. That's where I find the biggest complications come from with people, is especially older folks that are on a whole list of pharmaceutical drugs. Like, you really have to examine all the drugs these people are on. Oftentimes you see that folks are seeing multiple doctors and they're on multiple prescriptions from different doctors. And oftentimes there's no crosstalk between doctors, and there's contraindications going on that aren't even being addressed with the drugs alone. So you don't want to go throw herbs in that mix as well, unless you know for a fact that they're going to be safe and, beyond a doubt. But yeah, describing it further, we would talk for an hour or two. Ideally, I like to do pulse, like take your pulse. You get a feel for the pulse. They do this in Ayurveda as well. And that can convey a lot of information. And then take a look at the tongue is really important. So I would actually encourage people, start looking at your own tongue in the mirror, and you can start to tell a lot about your own digestion just by looking at your tongue in the mirror. If it's like, got a thick white coat, then you probably ought to cut back on dairy and these different congesting foods or what have you. There's a lot of different things to talk about when it comes to tongue and pulse. And I'm no expert in tongue and pulse, but the more you do it, the more familiar you get, the better at it you get. I've heard plenty of stories of, really old, like acupuncturists, like legit Chinese medicine practitioners. They can, they'll take your pulse and that's all they do. And they'll give you a formula based on that. And they're pretty accurate with it too. It's pretty remarkable. Yeah, but we would talk for, an hour or two. We can have, follow-up conversations on the phone or even on Zoom. I haven't done a Zoom conversation for a consult yet, but I'm into doing that. Makes it a little more personal. You can see the person. Yeah, and like you would provide feedback, and we would discuss how it's going, and you change the protocol if necessary, or yeah, kind of simple. I see Carol says, can you tell us the website? It's rogueherbalist.com. So ROGUE herbalist. Sometimes people will spell it rouge, which is okay, but it's rogue. Do I have a newsletter? If you sign up for emails, I will eventually send out an email. I haven't done that yet, but yeah, go to the website and you can sign up, and then I'll have your email. That'll let you know if I'm going to do a sale on the website or if I'm doing classes and things. ideally, we won't do only classes in the space here, but we're going to have classes on the internet as well. That way, if you're in Brattleboro or if you're in the other side of the country, then you can tune in and learn like that. So yeah, it's rogueherbalist.com. And I'm on all social media as Rogue Herbalist. Shawnee Perry says, could you suggest a vegan replacement for the honey in your elderberry recipe? You can use, what do you call, agave nectar is an alternative that's vegan. Or even maple syrup would be a fine thing to do. But I know with the maple, you'll definitely want to keep it in the refrigerator if you use maple, because maple, once it's out, it'll get mold on it. But yeah, you could even use cane sugar, really. It's just to make it sweet, although you get a little benefit from the local honey and the maple. But you could use regular cane sugar or agave nectar. Yeah, I think that would be the answer to that.
I have two questions.
Please.
One is, where do you get organic cane alcohol? And the one is in regard to that hemlock reishi. I couldn't tell with the chunks you were putting in. Is it like an artist conch where it's sort of dry anyway and you cut it into chunks, or did you dry it first, or how did you prepare that before you chunked it up?
Sure. So the answer to the first question is organicalcohol.com. You can buy organic alcohol. It comes from the West Coast. I would rather be buying from these guys down the road in Morrisville, the distillery, but I don't know if there's more red tape to do it like that. They told me that there was a lot of red tape to buy it from them, but it's not too difficult for me to buy it. You do have to get a permit and you go through the state and they approve it. And then, yeah, but I haven't had a problem. And they have all kinds of different alcohols. There's organic grape spirits and orange, and, they're more expensive the fancier they are, but you can do all kinds of really cool things with the different types of alcohol that are out there. One day too, I want to get my own distillery situation going, but that's at another point in time. That's the future. Your second question was about reishi. Yeah, so when you go out in June and July to harvest the hemlock reishi, the one that we used is hemlock reishi. It's Ganoderma tsugae. So the red hemlock varnish shelf there. And you want to go out, get them in June, July, like I said, and then slice them fresh, because if you let them dry, you can't cut them up because they're hard like wood. So slice them into chunks, however big you want. Sometimes I cut them just into strips, or sometimes I'll do them in little chunks like you saw there. They're more aesthetically appealing in slices because you can see the whole shape of the mushroom, but the little chunks, they fit better in the jar and what have you. So there's pros and cons doing it both ways. I haven't done too many other, I haven't made it much with artist conch, but you can. And then I made an extract earlier this year with Ryan Van Tynen. Actually, we went out and got some Fomus fomentarius, which is another medicinal polypore growing on Vermont trees here. And that's made in the same fashion, decoction and then tincture and alcohol, dual extract, which there are different ways to do dual extracts as well. But yeah, what else we got? Don't be shy. Or are we done?
Have you done anything with chaga?
Oh, that was my question.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Nice.
super hard.
So yeah, that's the chief herb in the 4-mushroom immune complex. So the 4-mushroom is chaga, birch polypore, which also grows on birch like chaga does. So it has some similar chemistry, as well as chicken of the woods and turkey tail. So pretty unique mushroom formula. A little bit about chaga if you're curious, because there's misinformation out there. And I mean, I'm not the expert, but just like what I've gleaned for knowledge. So I think there is some issue with sustainability around chaga. That's why I only use it in the one formula, and it's only one part of the formula. But the issue with that is, so what you see, the big black piece. That's actually not the fruiting body, but that's a sterile conch. So that's like a reserve of nutrients for the organism. So if you harvest it before it has made a fruiting body, then there's concern about whether or not it's going to reproduce after that. What'll happen is it produces a secondary fruiting body elsewhere on the tree. Forgetting the name of it off the top of my head, but you can check out Paul Stamets' video on that. He talks about it. It's called a racupinate, actually. So it's like a secondary fruiting body. So there is some concern around that. The other question you see all the time in these mushroom forums, people talk about whether or not you should harvest chaga in the winter or does it matter? And the only thing I can say to that is I swear that I remember on one of these threads, somebody posted a link to a textbook, a mycology textbook, where you could go and read it, and it said that the nutrients are optimal in the winter, which kind of makes sense to me. Like it's kind of holding on to nutrients during the cold, and then during the summer months, like the sap is running through the tree, so it may not have as much nutrition in the summer months. But like I say, people argue about this on the internet all day long. If you genuinely need chaga in your life, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem to go out and get it in the summer. But you just want to try to do it sustainably. I kind of have a rule of thumb where when I need a piece, like I don't even need any right now because I have a small amount back there, and I just kind of use it as needed. But it's Paul Stamets is the guy. You should definitely know Paul Stamets if you're interested in mushrooms. He's definitely a key figure. But yeah, with the chaga, my kind of rule of thumb is if I need a piece, I go out and I find a piece. I only will take like what I can break off with my hand, like, like maybe the size of a softball at most. And you can usually, there's a chunk sticking right out. You can just pop it off fairly easily. I don't like this. You see people will sometimes they'll cut trees down or they'll hack into the tree to take the whole chunk out, do what you will, but especially on your own property. But I only ever take a tiny piece, just enough to make what I need to make and go about my business. Yeah, so Paul Stamets is the guy you should check out as well. He's been an inspiration to me and many others. And too, so one of the things Paul Stamets does with his company is they make medicinal mushroom extracts as well, but it's predominantly the mycelial extract. So they're cultivating the mycelium on organic brown rice, which works great. And they've got documentation that the mycelial extracts have their own unique properties. There's, again, a lot of debates going on. Like people will bash Paul because he's making mycelial extracts. They think that fruiting body is the only way to go. Like I make fruiting body extracts because I don't have mycelium, but also because it's the traditional thing to do. But I think that they're both valuable. It's like the discussion about CBD tincture versus oil. It's not that really one's better than the other. It's just that they're different. They both have redeeming qualities and differences. So it's all about nuance. How we doing?
I got a question. When you do the chaga, do you do the dual extraction?
Yeah, or if you're just doing it at home and you just want to make tea, that's a fine thing to do too.
Mm-hmm.
Throw a piece of chaga in a crock pot and you can drink tea off of that thing for days.
If you make a tincture, would you do the dual?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So, and there's different ways you can do dual extractions. So basically what I do is a decoction first, and then I'll just add the alcohol to it after the fact and let it macerate, let it sit in the alcohol and water for, at least a month. You like to do a month, but often longer if you can. But people will often do a tincture first and then a decoction. I think that's actually the wrong way to do it because of the way you're extracting polysaccharides versus the other chemistry. I believe doing water first is correct, but you can do it however you want. And then oftentimes people they'll do an alcohol extract first, set it aside, and then do a decoction. and then they'll combine those two liquids together after the fact, which is also a fine way to do it. I've done that before.
Okay.
Like I say, it's a whole art and science. So there's no, well, there is wrong ways to do it, but you know what I'm trying to say is it's fun to get in there and experiment and kind of learn as you're going. It's definitely the way to do it.
Thank you.
No problem. Where's Janelle? I want to hear from Janelle. I haven't talked to you in a while. Not there.
Hey, no, I am here. I was trying to think of a really good question. The one thing I did want to know is, do you do walks with people? Is there a way to sign up for that, or is that just your own? Do you do that
No.
just for your own personal?
I'll do that definitely. Like this year, I've been focusing on getting this thing to where it is, but absolutely. I also spent a lot of time in the woods this year, so I'm happy to do that again and promote that. Or if people want to hit me up, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, no, all of us, the whole family, we're all watching you. It's so fun.
Cool. What's going on, family? That's neat. That's one thing about this is that it's a lot more convenient for people to tune into a class. You don't have to drive and go to a building. That's kind of cool. So, anybody else?
Going once, going twice. I want to just give a few moments if anybody else has anything to say. I know that it was great, Chuck, when we first started working together to do those walks. And, you know, my hope is that we can do that again.
Definitely.
Down the road. And as we get through this time, but I'm just delighted that you have the shop, and I'm delighted that it's going well. And, you know, like you said, kind of a blessing in disguise. A lot of times things happen and it gets to move us in a direction that is really our heart's purpose. So I know that's true for you. You have such a wealth of knowledge, and to see you in your shop is just great. And the history of it too, the fact that it was a bookstore, and so much of it is coming and sort of the browsing kind of feel. And I really like your idea of bringing back the apothecaries, you know, bringing back this place where we can go and talk to someone and just have that type of healing rather than this sort of mass produced. And I won't go into that whole thing, but I'm just grateful that you're following your vision. So
Yeah, thank you. You know, one thing I would say too is everyone who's walked in here, like we haven't had a lot of foot traffic just because of everything, but the people who have come in have been really receptive. And if a lot of people say the same thing, they say, oh, you know, this is exactly what we need right now, is this type of thing. And I, you know, obviously I wholeheartedly agree. Like we need more of this reconnection to the earth and the natural order, and we need less fear. So, you know,
I agree.
that's my message for you all.
Yep. So, you know, it's easy to become anxious when you, well, you look at the news, read the news, watch the news. But having a cup of tea and doing some deep breathing and you know, smelling aroma, various things. I mean, there's so many ways that we can calm ourselves, and just as Chuck said in the beginning of the program, you know, food is medicine. And everything has a frequency. We know that. And so you want to have, like when I watched that video of the elderberry syrup, is like, I want some of that for sure.
It's
you know,
good.
that's whole and healthy and full of nutrients. And that's what we need to feed our bodies, and we'll have energy to do the tasks we're supposed to do. But, and I know, you know, I'm preaching to the choir here because you guys wouldn't be on the talk if you didn't believe this as well. But I'm just excited for you, Chuck, and I'm, you know, really wish you the best in your business and going forward.
Thank you, Judy. And thank you everybody that tuned in. That's great. I really appreciate it.
And
Yeah,
thank you, Judy, for the library for offering this. It was great.
You're
Thanks.
welcome. You're welcome. I wanted to let people know this will be up on the website. Our tech librarian is going to be away for a couple of weeks, so I'm not sure the time frame, but it has been recorded and it will be up on the website, so you can glean whatever things you might have missed. You know, sometimes it's helpful to go back. So, but thank you again, Chuck, and I wish everyone the best. And we'll see you on another call.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Right, thanks.
Thank you. Bye, Chuck.
Bye.